Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep. Anyone, I have provided to everyone who all can record. Okay, so on the first day of the regulation, we understood the Chicago Convention, that how all the rules and regulation for the aviation got established. Right, that was in the year of. Can anyone tell me on what date the ICAO was established on? याद है किसी को? 7 December 1944. That was the date when the Chicago Convention or the International Civil Aviation Organization was established. What is ICAO then, and what are the objectives of ICAO is on this. That are the aims and objectives of ICAO, or means like the purpose to establish this organization was what. So to develop the principle and techniques of international civil aviation and navigation, ensure safe and orderly growth of international. What are the regions and the offices of an ICAO that we have understood? That is Bangkok, Kiara, Dhaka, Lima, Mexico City, Nairobi, and Paris. These are the places where the sub-regional offices of the International Civil Aviation Organizations are. Now, what this all regulations are about, that are the annexures of the ICAO. That is the principle of licensing, annexure 2, annexure 3, 4, 5, 6. And step by step, these are the chapters only that we are supposed to study too. Okay. Thereafter that, in this further chapter, we understood the freedoms of the air also. That is the first freedom kya tha, second freedom kya tha. The first freedom was what? The privilege was given to the pilots or the aircraft to fly into their territories only, not to another countries or the contracting states. The second privilege was given where the aircraft can fly over the countries or the states also, but for only refueling or any maintenance service or any other criteria during the emergency, you can land on the another contracting states. But for revenue purpose, for carrying passengers, disembarkation and embarkations of passengers are not allowed on the another soil of the country. Third freedom was further, and then the fourth, and then the fifth. These days we use the fifth freedom of the air, the privileges. Thereafter that, we understood different conventions, right? What does the Tokyo Convention means? The Tokyo Convention means that any offense that you commit during the aircraft or in the aircraft, then whoever's aircraft you would be flying with, over that country's jurisdiction would be taken against you. That is what the Tokyo was there. Montreal Convention is related to the hijack of the aircraft. Thereafter that, the Warsaw Convention was related to the baggage delays and any reclaim or the claim that you are supposed to be liable when the companies does not follow any rules and regulation and you suffer from that. Then Warsaw Convention, according to the Warsaw Convention, the airline companies or the courier or the agents are the responsible one to provide you the compensation. Then the Rome Convention deals with regarding the aircraft who makes any damage to another other contracting states, and whatever the claimable thing would be there, the jurisdiction would be taken against that aircraft wherever that aircraft would be registered in that country. Then Geneva Convention allows you to lease the aircraft from the another country, to rent the aircraft, to give it on the temporary purpose to any other country by any means, by any charge. So are we able to recall this, guys? ये सारा चीज recall कर पा रहे आप? Sahil, Nishant, Sarita ma'am, yeah, everyone, right? Are you able to recall this all things?
Yes.
Okay, sure. क्यों आज इतने ही लोग हैं बट बाकी लोग कहाँ चले गए? Okay, chalo, ठीक है. Then coming to the second chapter that we studied, that took 2 days or 2 lectures to complete our the second chapter, that was known as the Annexure 1 of the Chicago Convention, that is the rules of the air, right? Okay, so do we remember that things? That is, what are the IFR rules? That is the first page of this book that I have shared to you all, guys. You will get it later on. Whenever you go through it, you will be easier to understand. Now, in this rules of the air were the basic rules that you are supposed to fly. So what are the basic rules and whom are supposed to follow this rule? कौन और किनको follow करना है ये rule? और ये rule बनाया किसने? ICAO ने बनाए हुए हैं, right? That are the International Civil Aviation Organization has made this all rules. So basic rules. whom you are supposed to follow, and if you are flying in another contracting state, तो वहाँ के rule priority पे रहेंगे या आप अपने aircraft जहाँ पे registered है वहाँ के रहेंगे. So this rule, that is the rules of the air, who all are supposed to follow. So for an example, an Indian registered aircraft over in India, Indian rules would be applied to that aircraft. Indian registered aircraft over Sri Lanka or any other country, Sri Lankan and Indian rule would be applied, and any rule that would be conflicting, or it would be same but some rule, different rules and regulations has to be followed over there, then wherever the contracting state you would be flying, वहाँ का rule priority पे रहेगा. Third case can be Indian registered aircraft over the high seas, that you are flying into the region of somewhere where you are not coming in any country's jurisdiction. Then whose rule you would be following? Then you would be following the ICAO standard rules. Are you getting this? Are we able to recall this thing also? Guys, anything?
No,
to
can
follow?
you repeat what you just said? In ICAO standard rules will apply where?
See, now there are rules and regulations in ICAO. We also understood that whoever are gonna be part of an ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, they can make their own rules in their own territory also. That was one thing that we have studied into the ICAO on the first day, right? So for the same thing, if you would be flying in the conditions where if I'm flying in India, I'll be following the Indian rules. And if any changes would be there, whatever that ICAO standards would be there, that might have been implemented into the Indian territory, and I'll be following that Indian territory rule. If that Indian registered aircraft goes to another contracting state, for an example, Sri Lanka, okay, then Sri Lankan rule would be having a priority, and he would be also following the Indian national rules also, wherever that aircraft is registered. Thereafter that Indian registered aircraft is flying over the seas, मतलब कि जहाँ पे किसी का भी जुरिडिक्शन नहीं आ रहा है. तो अगर जुरिडिक्शन किसी का नहीं आ रहा है, आप इंडिया में तो फ्लाई नहीं कर रहे हो, तो इंडियन रूल्स तो फॉलो नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो किसके रूल्स फॉलो करेंगे फिर? हम रूल फॉलो करेंगे जो स्टैंडर्ड्स होगा आईकाओ का. लाइक, आर यू गेटिंग इट?
Yeah, so no man's land, basically neutral territory.
Yeah, yes. So, and someone's the rule we need to follow, so we'll be following the ICAO rule. Thereafter that, what are these rules applicable? कौन से rules applicable होते हैं? So there are two types of rules only. That is, one is the visual flight rules, instrument flight rules. What are the responsibility of the pilot in command? Over here, it's been mentioned, right? Thereafter that, intoxicating liquor, narcotics and drugs related rule that we understood. Then we understood general rule, that is the minimum height rule. That minimum height rule says that जनरल रूल्स में बहुत छोटे छोटे रूल्स है जो हम लोग ने पढ़े थे उस दिन, आपको अभी रिकॉल हो जाएगा. द फर्स्ट रूल वाज द मिनिमम फ्लाइट रूल. दैट मिनिमम फ्लाइट रूल वाज लाइक, एक्सेप्ट व्हेन नेसेसरी फॉर टेकिंग ऑफ एंड लैंडिंग or except by the permission from an appropriate authority, aircraft shall not be flown over the congested areas of cities, towns or settlements, or over any open gathering of person unless at such a height as will permit in the event of an emergency arising, or landing made without undue hazard to the person or property of the subject. ये क्या कह रहा है कि आपको इस तरह कभी भी फ्लाई नहीं करना है which is gonna be hazardous to the ground objects or the personals or the I can say properties or something like that. So you're not supposed to fly in the manner which is gonna be hazardous to the other person and property on the ground. Right? We are not supposed to do so. Except taking off and landing. Landing करने के लिए तो भाई जमीन पे नीचे आना ही पड़ेगा, है ना? Right? So that is what they are saying. Thereafter that, cruising level. Cruising level is such that what flight levels we are supposed to fly. तो हम लोग ने ये पढ़ाई किया था. If you remember that, if you are at mean sea level, I have made you draw a diagram also. If this is a boat and there is an airfield over here, right? If you would be flying below the transition altitude, you are supposed to fly in terms of calculating your vertical height from the basis of mean sea level. That is the lowest point on the ground, and that would be known as altitude. It would be measured on the basis of what Q code, that is known as QNH. That is the pressure that you'll set. Thereafter that, if you would be flying above this transition altitude that can be of 3,000, 4,000 feet and above the aerodrome, then you're supposed to fly in terms of flight level. Flight level can be measured from 1013.25 hectopascal or standard pressure setting. Also, it is known as vertical distance you'll get in terms of flight level. If you measure your vertical height from the airfield, then it would be known as height. Do we remember this, guys? Transition altitude.
Yeah.
So this basic rule says that cruising levels, what in terms of what you are supposed to fly, what all datums that you're gonna see, right? So if you're flying above the transition altitude, you're gonna fly in terms of flight level. How you'll get flight levels? By setting your standard pressure setting of 1013.25. If you're flying below that, you will be flying in terms of altitude. मतलब आप अपना height vertically distance calculate करोगे on the basis of mean sea level. That is known as QNH. And 1013.25 is known as QNE. If you measure your vertical distance from the airfield, then it would be known as QFF. ठीक है? Any doubts over here? इसके ये rule से related.
Once again,
if you measured your vertical distance from the airfield, then it would be known as QFF or QFE, like that. QFF and QFE, both are the same on. Okay. Sure. Thereafter that, another small rule we understood, that was approaching head-on. If two aircrafts come head-on, then what you are supposed to do? To turn to their respective rights, right? अपने अपने right पे turn करना है. Converging traffic हो, तो converging traffic के लिए rule था हमारे पास, that is the right of way rule. Whoever is on the right has a right of way, saying that एक image भी हम लोग ने देखा था, that one aircraft is converging over here and the other aircraft is over here. The aircraft who is on the right has right of way. He will go ahead, and this aircraft, which is the another one, will alter the course and give way to the aircraft who is on the right. Do we recall this right of way rule?
Yes, sir.
Yep, sure. Thereafter that, overtaking aircraft के लिए rule क्या था? That aircraft who needs to overtake, he should be in the sector of 70 degrees to the left and 70 degrees to the right of that aircraft, and that would be known as an overtaking sector. And overtaken should be done in such a way that the overtaking aircraft is not hazardous for the overtaken aircraft, and overtaken aircraft has a right of way. Overtaken aircraft has a right of way means for the black color ka aircraft is known as an overtaken. This is known as overtaking. Overtaken aircraft has a right of way. Matlab ke the aircraft who has a right of way, he's not going to alter his course and action. The other aircraft who wants to overtaking aircraft would change the course and direction, and he would be overtaking in such a way that it's not a proximity or the hazardous to the another aircraft. Okay, that is what the another rule was. Then after that, overtaking aircraft ke baad landing aircraft. What does the landing mean? What does the emergency landing means? We understood that. What is takeoff? We know it, right? Thereafter that, that was another thing, that was light displayed by an aircraft. There are many lights that are displayed by an aircraft. Yeah, Sahil, you were saying something?
Yeah, I just have a doubt. From syllabus, which part are we covering right now? So that I can...
Rules of the air. We are studying rules of the air. Annexure 1 of the Chicago Convention.
Rules of the air. So on what page is it? To 8.2, 19, page number 19. Right?
Which book are you referring?
I'm referring to the syllabus. So
the syllabus page number, I don't know. I'm not aware, brother.
Okay.
Did you found?
I found the rules of the air. Usme there's like a lot of things. Okay. 8.2 karke hai.
So are we covering those points then?
That's what I'm like referring to. Like I can't find like same terminologies there. So I was like a bit lost.
ठीक है, rules of the air में लिखा क्या बताओ मेरे को?
Annexure 2 है. फिर
उसके अंदर क्या लिखा है?
Definitions, applicability, general rules, visual flight rules, signals, वही है ना, intersection of.
तो general rules, तो अभी हम जो पढ़ाई कर रहे थे वो क्या कर रहे थे? Annexure 2 में general rules. General rule में ये सारे basic rules आते हैं. फिर normal flying rules, that are the VFR, IFR rules. फिर उसके बाद हम लोग पढ़ाई करेंगे तो धीरे धीरे आएगा ब्रदर.
Okay.
ठीक है. You keep ticking off things, you will come to know things. Then after that, light displayed by an aircraft. Light displayed by an aircraft. कौन से lights have been displayed by an aircraft? Can anyone tell me now? What they are? That can be navigation lights, right? One. Then anti-collision lights. We have written it down. Open करो ना book.
Landing
मैं
lights.
आपको landing lights हो गया. फिर पर मैंने landing light लिखवाया नहीं था मैम. मैंने 3 ही लाइट लिखवाए थे which are the most important ones. One is the navigation
so
light.
Light.
Yeah, that is known as what? But
That is
strobe lights. The flashing white light on the
Yes.
wings are known as strobe light.
No.
The red color light is known as anti-collision light. And there is one light that is known as navigation light. Now, what are the? I have made you write down this definitions also on the basis of that. Okay. So, have anyone written it down? Can read the definition for navigation light. What is the purpose of navigation light? Navigation light का purpose क्या है? It's left wing पे red होता है या green होता है और right wing पे कौन सा color होता है navigation light में?
Left पे red होता है, right पे green होता है.
What would be the purpose of navigation light then?
To show the orientation of the direction that the aircraft is flying.
Yeah, orientation, but it would allow you to give you the direction of the aircraft, right? Which direction that aircraft would be flying. Anti-collision light का purpose बता सकते हो? Why we have kept anti-collision light?
So that the other aircraft knows.
The other aircraft.
Yeah, other aircraft would get to know that someone is there in the cockpit and someone is there for flying that aircraft. Okay, anti-collision lights are to provide the proximity. Then strobe lights का purpose क्या हो गया फिर?
Flashing lights.
Gain attention.
To gain attention. Okay, flashing white light. Anti-collision light is a flashing red light or constant red light?
So constant
Flashing
red.
and blinking light. Sir,
flashing light.
and blinking light.
Flashing red light it would be. Only
Right.
navigation light is not flashing. It's a stationary light. Okay? Fine enough?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Chalo. After that we understood flight. Yeah.
एक थोड़ा सा ये हो गया. I couldn't hear you properly. So the anti-collision lights are flashing white color.
Yeah.
White color, right?
Yeah, flashing white color lights.
That is anti-collision.
No, sir. Sir, anti-collision light will be flashing and blinking light. It's red. Sir,
अब तो मैं कंफ्यूज हो जाऊंगा. चलो ठीक है.
सर मैंने लिखा था उसी लाइन पे anti-collision light is flashing and blinking light. It's red.
मैंने लिखा कुछ अलग था, अभी कुछ डिस्कशन में अलग हो गया, so I also got confused.
तो मैं
No,
उसी
it's
accordingly change कर
flashing
दूंगा.
by anti-collision lights are flashing red color light.
Right.
Strobe lights are flashing white color light.
Tension.
So what are the strobe lights called for? I mean, what is the general term for strobe lights?
Basically, it gains attention into the vicinity.
So what is the difference between, in terms of purpose, what is the difference between anti-collision red flashing and strobe lights?
Okay, so anti-collision lights indicates that on ground, if that aircraft would be, then anti-collision light would indicate that someone is there available into the cockpit. Or basically, सभी aircraft पे strobe lights नहीं होएगा, white flashing light. It's only on the wide bigger jets. Okay, wide body aircraft. Because it also gains attention also into the vicinity, and red color would also indicate that aircraft is flying or it's not flying. Like that.
So the moment there is somebody in the cockpit, the red.
They are supposed to turn on the anti-collision light. That is the first thing that you do whenever you enter the aircraft. You are supposed to turn on the anti-collision lights. That is the red light. Okay.
So mainly it is for the runway.
not runway.
No, even if you are
Anti-collision lights indicates that if you are parked the aircraft, but you are there in the cockpit,
Yes,
then
sir. So
anti-collision lights should be on.
yes, sir. So that's what now. So main purpose is for the runway. No?
No,
Runway
even on
नहीं,
taxi
engine
lane.
चालू कर रहा हूँ कि नहीं चालू कर रहा हूँ उसके लिए.
Okay.
If someone is there available in the cockpit, if they are not gonna turn on the engines, then also anti-collision lights shall be on. So that person who is outside the proximity of that aircraft would get to know that someone is there in the cockpit, and by any chance or by any means he can start the engines also. So we are supposed to be away from that region like that.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Gains attention. What is the purpose? To gain attention that someone is there in the cockpit like that. Okay.
Got it, sir.
तो स्ट्रोब लाइट सेस्ना में स्ट्रोब लाइट नहीं है.
नहीं होता है like that. दोनों का पर्पस एक ही है, but the situation depending on the type of effect. Okay. Thereafter that, whenever we are going to fly the aircraft, we are supposed to file the flight plan. ठीक है. तो filing a flight plan का criteria is what? Unless otherwise required by the air traffic flight plan, control flight shall be submitted at least 60 minutes before the departure. मतलब कि आपका departure time के 60 minutes पहले submit हो जाना चाहिए. Okay, like that.
No, but
Thereafter
आपने
that,
initially बोला था 120 to 24 hours before.
122
hours to 24 hours prior.
that is the regulation. वो bookish knowledge. वैसा अगर आपको आज फ्लाइट डालना है तो मिनिमम टाइम बता रहा है कि मिनिमम एटलीस्ट 60 मिनट्स पहले तो आपको दे देना है लाइक दैट.
किसको देना होता है?
ऑनलाइन सबमिशन करना पड़ता है सर. Like
Submitted to whom? To
online, not to DGCA, to the region where you would be flying. Like there are 5 FIR boundaries that is known as flight information regions. The whole India is divided into 5 segments. So whichever segment you would be taking off, in that segment, whoever the authority would be, like Mumbai Control, it would be known as Mumbai Flight Information Service. That flight information service वाला chapter पढ़ाई किया था हम लोग ने.
हाँ.
So वो flight information service are the offices which provides you flight information details, है ना? So that is where you would be submitting your flight, that region. Mumbai region submitting to, region you would be submitting to. So there are 5 FIR, that is known as flight information regions, and centers, that is known as. So there are 5.
5 in India.
There is Mumbai.
5 in India.
Yeah, Mumbai. Yeah. Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and in south it is Chennai, and one is Guwahati. So there are the 5 regions where you would be filing your flight plan to these offices. You mean like there is one server website where filing of the flight plan would be, where there would be an option that Mumbai FIR में आप fly करने वाले हो, take off करने वाले हो, या Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, like that. So to that respective flight information center, your flight details would be sent to. So what that flight details you are supposed to write? So these are this. आप अपना aircraft का identification डालेंगे, flight rules and the type of flight डालेंगे, number of the type of the aircraft, equipment, what type of equipments you have in the aircraft, departure aerodrome, estimated off block time, cruising speed, cruising levels. आप लोग ने अभी पढ़ाई किया रहेगा नेविगेशन में भी, राइट? फ्लाइट प्लान के बारे में किया क्या नहीं किया?
हाँ
किया, right? So content of the flight plan, we know it now. Okay. Thereafter that, closing of flight plan is also one thing, that whenever you are supposed to land at to any place, you are supposed to close your flight plan. During that thing, you are supposed to coordinate to the respective air traffic control service unit about your arrival in terms of aircraft identification, what was your departure, what was your destination aerodrome, where you have been arrived to, and time of arrival. That would be the 5 things that you'll require to give to the air traffic control service units so that they can close your flight plans. Thereafter that, In this chapter, we understood the visual flight rules. That visual flight rules are such that the aircraft, whenever flying below 10,000 feet, the visibility shall be 5 kilometers. Aircraft shall be away from 1,500 feet horizontally from the cloud and vertically 1,000 feet from the cloud. That is what the criteria was for the visual flight rules. If you are flying above 10,000 feet, the flight visibility shall be minimum 8 kilometers. You should be away from the cloud 1,500 meters and vertically you are supposed to be 1,000 feet. Are you getting it?
No, can you repeat this? That above 10,000 feet flight?
सर आप इमेज देखो, आपने कंटेंट लिखा भी रहेगा तो आप देखो एक बार पढ़ो फिर बताओ अगर डाउट है तो. सेम ही है, कुछ फर्क नहीं है, ओनली द फ्लाइट विजिबिलिटी का डिफरेंस है. 8 किलोमीटर विजिबिलिटी अबाउट 10,000 फीट, 10,000 फीट के नीचे 5 किलोमीटर का विजिबिलिटी. और एयरक्राफ्ट से वर्टिकली 1,000 फीट रहना चाहिए मैं दूर और हॉरिजॉन्टली में 1,500 मीटर दूर रहना चाहिए. राइट?
Okay. 1,500. एक मिनट. Flight visibility 8 kilometers. Horizontal separation. अच्छा, horizontal vertical separation दोनों सेम ही है.
आप डायग्राम याद कर लो ना ये देख के. That would be more better. Arrest everyone. Are you all getting it, guys? आप लोग की शक्ल मेरे को दिखती नहीं है तो मैं पता नहीं कर सकता.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
ओके. आफ्टर VFR फ्लाइट रूल्स, VFR में और भी बहुत सारे रूल्स लिखे थे ना हम लोग ने, इफ यू रिमेम्बर, राइट? व्हाट वर द रूल्स VFR के? कैन एनीवन टेल मी? टिल व्हाट लेवल यू कैन फ्लाई एज अ VFR फ्लाइट? मैक्सिमम फ्लाइट लेवल?
So 11,000.
गैसेस नहीं चाहिए मेरे को.
12,000. So
10,000
12,000.
feet. 10,000 feet.
नो,
So
VFX स्टेटमेंट ऐसा लिखा था मैंने. VFR flights are only permitted up till flight level 150 or flight level 200. If you have permission, then you can fly up till flight level 290. Above that, no permission shall be given to the flight to fly in terms of VFR. याद आया कुछ?
no, sir.
आया या नहीं आया?
Yeah.
लिखा भी नहीं है तो फिर कैसे याद आएगा ना? Right, see, read it over here. VFR flights